Hey everybody, this is Chad. Welcome again to another episode of the Nerdy Old Men Podcast. This is our 10th episode, although we all know that we are number one in your hearts. And today we are with Wes and Jason again. Wes, go ahead, buddy.
Woo, yeah, all right. So we've got Jason with us again. He was brave enough to get back on the show, and we figured...
That is some bravery right there.
Yes,
that
it
is.
is.
And we embarrassed my daughter.
That's great. That's even a bigger
That's what
bonus.
we do. We're dads.
Exactly.
But yeah, today we thought we'd throw out some top 10 lists since it's our 10th show. And
That's a brilliant idea. 10
yeah,
and 10.
I mean, just hey, it's it's what we do here on the Nerdy Old Men Podcast show, the greatest podcast on the interwebs.
And everything else for that matter.
But Jason, you wanna kick us off there, buddy, and tell us what your top 10 list is.
Well, mine will be like sci-fi fantasy books. I've read too many. I can't narrow it down by books because, as I said, I use Kindle Unlimited to the hilt. I read at least a book a day. So
Yeah, they are losing money with Jason.
Yeah, I've read three or 4,000 books. So
Good grief.
It was like when we were in school and would go to Mr. Gaddy's and get the all-you-can-eat buffet. And,
yeah,
This is the all-you-read buffet.
yeah,
it basically is.
All right, Jason, start with the number 10, man, and educate us.
Well, this is a Kindle Unlimited series. It's a real funky author, but the name of the series is Star Force. It's more sci-fi than anything else, but it's kind of fantasy. It's the humans are. It starts at now time and goes to several million times in the future in the current books. There's 188 books, but they're only about 100 pages apiece.
Which
They've
is
been
much
coming out
for you.
but I've been reading it since it started. So
Wow.
I've been reading it a while. Next one on the list, with mine, it's just a list of books, a list of series of books that I just like to read, and I could read them again. That's what I consider a good series. Would be the Dresden Files
Okay.
by Jim Butcher. There's about 17 books, but they made a series out of it. He's a wizard in Chicago, and
Huh.
they have werewolves and everything, and there's a council that he works. Well, he was thrown out of for a while, but he's a sarcastic person, very sarcastic.
You should love that.
Oh, yeah, that's like you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
perfect for you.
They made one season out of it, a TV show on it on Sci-Fi.
Oh, wow.
It was really good.
Cool. All right.
Let's see. Next series probably be Salvatore books.
Yes.
Go wrong. You
Yes.
can't go wrong.
But he's written at least. There's the Legacy of the Drow with Drizzt.
Yes.
Legacy being his time in
Menzelberg.
The Underdark.
Yeah. Yep.
Then there's the Icewind Dale trilogy. Where he gets together with Bruenor and Cattery and Regis and Wolfgar. And then there's the Cleric Quintet, where you're following basically a guy who becomes a cleric and making it's just good. It's hard to explain on that one.
Yeah, actually, I haven't read that. The other ones,
I haven't read
the
that one
the
either.
first few of the trilogies with Drizzt, I've read those. I love those.
I've read all of that's it. I read all the way up until the Sea of no, it might have been the Sea of Swords or the next trilogy after that I read, where he gets.
Well, actually, on no, on those I like Jarxel.
Jaraxel.
Yeah.
The
Because
Drow.
you got a pirate Drow. That's just
Yeah.
kind of cool, right?
his eye patch moves from eye to eye.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man.
We actually had a character in a quest that I was running. He would do that. His eye patch would move from side to side. He'd lift up and
That's
look
cool.
at stuff. So
That's all
may
right.
or not have been taken from that.
Right. All right, what else you got, man?
Let's see, the Chronicles with Dragonlance by Weiss and Hickman.
Oh, another good series.
Yes.
Yeah, those are really good books. And let's see, the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan.
I've read a little bit of that. That's really good.
But they're huge
Yes.
books. Every one of them is 400 to 500 pages.
Wow.
There's 14 of those. John Ringo, the Troy Rising books. It's more sci-fi. It's alien race comes in and puts basically a gate at the in this solar system that says anybody can use this gate. Does this mean that other people can come in and take it over? Yeah. So Earth gets taken over, and it's the fight of them gaining their freedom. The first book is Live Free or Die, and it's that, and them becoming a power in the universe.
Okay.
There's
All right.
3 of those books.
I like some sci-fi stuff, man. I like sci-fi stuff. That's good.
Yeah. Of course, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
Yes.
I mean, that just kind of is understood.
That's a given.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
but you still have to put it in there.
Right. Right.
Let's see here. Oh, John Ringo again. He's the one that the Troy Rising books. This one's, I don't know how you could explain it. It's a zombie movie. It was a zombie series.
Okay.
There's about 6 books in it. It's Black Tide Rising. They create Earth. A virus gets out, and people get turned into zombies.
Well, it's like 2020.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm disappointed about the zombie part.
But
I'm ready.
They create a. They go out on the ocean and start taking over things. So they're clearing boats and. But say, just think of these liners that are cost $1 billion to make. How many people could be on there turning into zombies?
Oh, you're right.
That's an interesting take.
That's cool.
Something different.
And him bringing together a fleet to take this stuff on.
That's
and finding
crazy.
boats. It's really cool.
That's
him
neat.
going from just single boats to a flotilla.
That might be something I like. I'll have to write that down.
It's by John Ringo. Those are really good too. Then there's the Safehold series.
Okay.
There's
I'm
about
not familiar for that one, Jason. What's that
it's
about?
sci-fi again. It's 10 books. Earth has been attacked by another race, and they lose. And but everybody Earth would have been had been out to about 15 colonies, and at each one of them they'd come and destroy them. But the race that they've been fighting, they never seen them. All they did was seen their ships. But they would every
wow.
time they'd find them, they would just destroy that colony. So they sent the Safehold series. They start a colony, but the people that start the colony, some of them aren't very nice. They prevent technology from being created, and it's them trying to come back from having right before technology becomes steam. They're right there, and
Wow.
and they've created religious edicts to prevent. Because they're trying to prevent. Some people think that if they don't create any technology, they'll never find them. So, and other people say we've got to be ready for when they find us again, because they almost beat them. They started at the end. They started getting the technology because the alien race had not advanced technology for years. So that's what it was.
That's cool. I
interesting.
like
I
that.
might have to check that one out. That sounds kind of
And
like
the only other one
Space
I've
Above
got
and
is an
Beyond.
author. It's Kindle Unlimited again. It's Saxon Andrew. He's written 5 or 6, or maybe even more than that, different series of books. Just about, they're all sci-fi. Earth going out and colonizing, getting attacked, and some of them have telepaths, psychics, other things similar to that, or just pure science. Some of it's they go back in time, and some of the times they go future in the time.
So it's kind of like
and-
Star Trek and Babylon 5 and
Yeah,
Kind
some
of all
of it
mixed
is.
together, yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
but when I mentioned Star Force earlier, the 180 books, they're on Earth, and the big bad of the series is the dinosaurs.
Oh, really?
Because the dinosaurs, the comic killed everybody, yes, but the dinosaurs had already left Earth and created an empire out there.
Oh, that's crazy.
Okay,
No, that's
a neat
interesting
twist.
there. So out of all of these, man, what's the number one? What's the one that you like the best? Can you even say?
Trying to think. Probably the Chronicles and the John Ringo, the Troy Rising books.
Okay. All right, we'll have to check those out for sure. You know, and Jason's the expert on this stuff because he he reads all the time. So
Yes.
Yeah.
so that's some good stuff. Well, you know what? I think I'll jump in on with mine.
All right,
My
what you
top
got
10
for us
list.
there,
Well,
Jay?
you know how I have an affinity for villains. I don't really know why, but I do.
Because they're awesome.
Because they're awesome. And we're going to go with comic book villains right here. So maybe a couple surprises on here. And I go from the number 10 to the number 1 on mine. And number 10, I'm going to go with good old Scarecrow from DC and Batman's rogues gallery. Master of Fear, Dr. Crane, punished by his psychologist father and ended up killing him and trying to weaponize fear. And that's just freaky cool. Plus, just the imagery of Scarecrow, the character, is ridiculous. And I just think that
There's some very nice art out there with him.
yeah, but just the way he uses, it's not weapons. He weaponizes something that's inside you. And that's creepy villainous right there.
Which version of Scarecrow do you like? Do you like the classic where he's actually a scarecrow with the sickle, or the newer one where he's got like the needles on his fingers?
I like the syringes on his fingers.
Really?
I just think that's neat. And one of my first, experiences reading about him is back when the New 52 did their villain series back a long time ago, years ago. And they talked about, it was origin stories from most of these Rogues Gallery guys. And that's when I really kind of like Scarecrow.
Okay, that's cool.
Number 9, Doc Ock. I'm not a big Marvel guy, but, he's a genius, right? And if you look at him, he's got a horrible haircut, right? Pot belly, he's short.
That's
so
the
he
thing about him,
right, and he
horrible
compensates, right? But he compensates all that with his brain and his technology. And like I said, I'm not a huge Marvel guy, but I've always liked Doc Ock. And doing a little research, I found out he actually at one time took down the Avengers using the Sinister Six. So that's kind of cool, right? Should not have been able to do that, being a little short, round, low to the ground, tubby fella, right? Should have been able to do that.
Writing the stories, from time to time makes a difference.
Right. Number 8, Mr. Freeze. I just like Mr. Freeze.
He is a good character.
And right along with all of these other, especially Batman, and I like Batman, but his Rogue Gallery guys, they're all so tragic. And Mr. Freeze's story is so tragic, and I just think that part about him is, he's just longing for the love of his life, that he's kept frozen and trying to bring back, and he continuously fails, and he takes out all of this aggression on Gotham and Batman, and I just like Mr. Freeze. Plus the imagery of him is pretty cool, and not the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze in that awful movie. That's horrible.
The Batman animated.
Yeah, that version of him is cool too.
To me, is the definitive, Mr. Freeze story.
Right.
He didn't want to be bad. He was kind of.
And that's the beauty of a lot of these.
Research in peace.
Right. Yeah, and that's the beauty of a lot of these villains is there's some humanity in most of them. Some but we haven't got to them yet. Number 7, Thanos, death, destruction, blah blah blah. Obviously you got to put him on a villain list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of wielded the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he's got to be up there. And you're a big Avengers fan, so I thought I'd throw that in there for you. But number 6, another big fan. I love this guy, Venom. Right? Venom, Spidey on steroids with a bad attitude and maybe a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder. Right? He's got a little bit of that thrown in there.
I love the movie.
Oh yeah,
it was hilarious.
Yeah. And in the when they released a series of Venom back years ago, and I've got several of those issues, and I really like that and that imagery of him. I mean, look at him; he's freaky as all get out. He may help you, or he might eat you. You never really can tell with Venom. Number 5, Ra's al Ghul. I like Ra's al Ghul, right? What do you think?
I mean, who doesn't want to live forever and take over the world?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Now, he thinks he's doing this for like the greater good, right? Everybody's wrong. He's the only guy right.
Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that he actually has a lot of respect for Batman and his abilities, yet they're still banging heads over stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's just super powerful, the Lazarus pits, all that good stuff. I think that ranks him up there. And I know you're going to like this one, Wes, number 4, Magneto.
There's one I've been waiting for.
Yes, Magneto. And again, he's another one of these guys because you see a trend when you look through all these bad guys is a lot of these guys really think they're doing the right thing and that they're the one that's right. Right?
Magneto just wanted to protect his people.
Exactly right. He got beat up bad. He was raised in a concentration camp.
No, well...
It's part of the storyline. Part of the story, or one of them.
Zero really fleshes out the backstory.
Right. But he's just like a lot of villains, he's got a bad background. Mm-hmm. And that manifests into a whole lot of anger that he's got to do what he feels is right. and there's always an opposing force for it. Just like, the difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter, the side you're on.
Yes.
And that's the kind of the deal with Magneto. And I've always, my first introduction to Magneto was the X-Men cartoon. I guess we were in high school probably when that came out. You know what I mean?
91, 92.
Yeah. Because again, I wasn't a big Marvel guy. I'm still not a big Marvel guy, but I do like Magneto. I think he's cool. Plus, he's got a neat suit, right? Magnetized stuff. And what he sunk a Russian nuclear submarine at one time and raised a volcano and did all this kind of crap.
If he wants to, he can screw up the Earth's magnetic field.
Right, EMP stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty powerful.
Right. Number 3, the man that looks like me, Lex Luthor. He's bald-headed. That's why he's at number 3. No, but the thing about him is he's super smart, right? Super smart villain, but he's like a tech god, right? So how in the world is he going to compete against Soup, right? How's he going to fight Superman? Well, through technology and his ability to bring in other villains to do a lot of the dirty work for him. He's able to network. I mean, he's a businessman, right?
Oh, that's how you become president in the comics.
Yeah, he's networking, and he's bringing these guys in because he puts on that green suit or whatever. Then he's able to try to trade blows a little bit with Superman, but he's not going to make it. So he has to bring in these other guys, and I think that's his network of villainy, for lack of a better word, I think moves him to the top of that list because it takes more than just. I mean, if he was General Zod, Zod can fight Superman toe to toe, right? But Lex really shouldn't be able to, kind of like Doc Ock, right? So that's what I think about. That's why he's up there. But number 2, this might be a bit of a surprise for you. Negan from the Walking Dead books. And again, it's right down that same path. Negan did exactly what he had to do to survive. People think he's a villain, but let's step back and look at it. In a world that has gone to hell, where there is no rules, there is no law, morality is in essence gone. How does he survive? He, by himself. Now, there's a difference between the Jeffrey Dean Morgan Negan appearance and the Negan from the comic book appearance. Negan in the comic books is a little bit of a tubby guy, right?
Yeah.
Again, should be the underdog. But through his charismatic ability, he got all of these people to flock around him and die for him and go out and get things for him. Hope your crops are going good because half that shit's mine. And he was able to bring all those guys in. So yeah, he's a villain. I don't think he's a villain. I kind of like the character, but in essence, he's supposed to be a villain. But I think that's why he's number 2, because in a world where he should have been the absolute bottom of the food chain, he was the top. And I think that's awesome.
And those are always interesting characters.
Yeah, I think so.
Where everything kind of gets flipped on its head.
Number 1, I think, the clown prince of crime, the Joker. I got to think the Joker is the number 1. No clear motives, no issue with killing people, absolutely insane. There's never really any idea as to clearly what his origin story is. There's been several. I mean, there's a new DC Black Label series out now, The Three Jokers, that kind of explores different avenues of how that could be. And, look at him. He's nuts, right? He's absolutely crazy. I mean, look what he did to Barbara Gordon in The Killing Joke. I mean, what was the purpose of that? To inflict absolute terror on his enemies. And I think that's why he's absolutely the number 1. Yeah, he's. I wouldn't consider him on the intellectual level as Lex Luthor or Negan or Doc Ock, but his brutality compensates for that. And what do you think?
I would have had him on the list. I mean that.
Yeah, he's definitely top 10.
Yeah, he's definitely. Which I know we have talked about this with different people at times, but I'm always going to throw Doctor Doom on that list. Just because he just wants to take over the world.
That's all,
there's
right?
There's nothing wrong with wanting to take over the world. I mean, it's like somebody's got to rule it. Why not Doom? And then there was always the argument made about Tony Stark being a villain instead of actually being a hero, because Tony's all about Tony. And if you go back and look at the history of the books, he's done some things, and you're just like, holy crap, dude, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading Iron Man back, high school, middle school, and things like that, where he was, he's an absolute drunkard and just a loose cannon all the time. and yeah, so I can see that aspect of it as well.
But it's always interesting seeing how people think about different characters. And like I said, the Joker he's definitely on the top 10, but I wouldn't have had him at number 1. But I think that's an interesting choice.
But it's my list. That's why
I know exactly. I said it was an interesting choice.
Well, I mean, there's honorable mentions like I like the Mad Hatter. I think his story is pretty tragic and awesome as well. So I kind of like him. And I was gonna throw him in there, but I went with the Scarecrow because he's scarier looking. So, what do you got, Wild Man?
Well, I was going to do superhero movies, kind of keeping it in that comic genre feel there. But starting off at number 10, and I know I'll probably catch crap for this, but is Batman, but it's the 66 Adam West movie.
Oh no, I love it. Yeah,
like from the series, because it was so campy, but the show, the television show, was so hot in the ratings.
Yes.
I mean, it was a juggernaut for 3 seasons. And yes,
love that show.
It's very cartoonish and campy, and you look at it, there's things that they did for kids. That was the market they were going for. But I mean, it was one of those things, it was such a hot property, and it was in the minds of everybody. I mean, it was Batmania. And
it was great for the time.
Oh yes, and just I did like how, for the most part, they were very true to the characters. Granted it was a kid's show.
Yeah.
But the Penguin looked like the Penguin from the books.
That's true.
Catwoman looked like Catwoman. The Joker looked like the Joker.
Yes.
Riddler still probably was the best costume, other than Catwoman's.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Julie Newmar.
I was about to say, there was 2 or 3 of them in that show.
Oh, well, they had, 3
Yes.
different Catwomen. They had 2 different Riddlers and, 3 different Mr. Freezes.
But there was only one Penguin.
That's right. And you say that, and it's funny because I'm sitting over looking at the bottom shelf of one of my toy shelves, and I have a almost the whole collection of the Batman 66 series that came out about 12 years ago, the 6-inch figures. Love that stuff, man. That was just a cool character, or just a cool show. And you're talking about the movie, which is in the movie where they had the shark repellent.
Where he comes in. But it might as well have been just a really long episode of the TV show, because they brought everybody in, and it was, or just about everybody in, and it was great. But it was one of those things. It kept comic books in the public eye. There was a lot of build up around it, and so I that's why I put it on the list, because it was, I think, in keeping the public aware of superheroes.
Right. One quick thing before you move on to the next one, is people might want to hear this quick little story, is I got to meet Adam West once. And there was a con. It was back long, many moons ago when I was a policeman, and there was a con going on downtown, and me and my partner, we drove down there just to kind of walk around, see what was going on. Well, Adam West is sitting there, and he's got his sunglasses on in the middle of the Coliseum or whatever, and inside, obviously, because he's old Hollywood. So we're standing around. There's like, man, that's freaking Adam West. This is awesome. So there's a guy sitting there working the booth with him, and he walks over and he goes, "Hey, you guys like Adam West?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I like Adam West." He goes, "You want to meet him?" I said, "Absolutely." So he cut us to the front of the line, and we walk over there, and I was like, "Hey, Mr. West, you care if I get a picture with you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I tell you what, I used to do, he's that voice, I used to do some crime fighting in my day, and I'm in uniform, and I was like, I tell you what, Mr. West, I'll sit here and sign your autograph. You can take my stuff and go answer calls." He goes, "Oh, it was all fake." And then so he took a picture with us, and I've got that picture in here, and I absolutely love it. And he was just a cool dude, so I just had to throw that story in there.
Well, now I actually did get to meet Julie Newmar at a convention, and she was really nice. She was really nice to my kids. They were there with me. She
That's a big
signed
thing.
A picture for each one of them for free, which was really cool. But she was just getting to talk to her. She was really nice and sweet, and I remember what she did for my kids, and I will always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But But
What
anyways,
you got?
moving
Where's
on.
number 9?
Number 9, and this is one probably most people don't even remember, was Dick Tracy.
Oh yeah.
I can remember going with Jason and seeing this in La Follette at the movie theater when we had one up here in town. And for its time, it was a very accurate to the comic strip. You know, like he's running around in the yellow trench coat. You know that.
Warren Beatty.
You know, you had Warren Beatty, you had Madonna. I mean, there were some big name actors in this movie, and it was, yes, it did not do well compared to other movies on this list, but the fact it was one of those movies that was trying to, you know, keep comic. You know, we're trying to find a way to make a comic book movie that people like. That, you know, because the fans, you know, we are going to. And I'm one of the world's worst. I like for it to be accurate as possible to the source material. And sometimes that doesn't translate onto the screen. You know, you're like, nobody in their right mind would do this in the real world. But it was really neat to see. You saw some, at the time, some really big name stars trying to do a comic book movie and keep it close to the source material. And so that's why I put that on the list. And at number 8, this was one that I really enjoyed because it's a director that I really enjoy. But it's Spider-Man, the first Sam Raimi movie. And
Oh yeah.
that was one of those movies.
Who's playing Spider-Man in that one?
That one is Tobey Maguire.
That's right. Yes, Tobey Maguire.
It's the first, you know, when Sony released Spider-Man, and it was huge.
Oh, I remember taking my little brother to that when he was little, and we both bought. I bought Spider-Man T-shirts that had like puff paint on them, and we both wore the same T-shirts. He was just a little guy. I remember that. Yeah, that was awesome.
But I mean, that was because they did a lot. You know, the CG was really good for the time, but it had a really good story. I thought. You know, they
did
tried.
really. Tobey Maguire and them did a really good job with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, which
Yeah,
the suit.
which
I'm
is
like,
great.
I don't know what they're thinking of with that suit, but you know, like I said, some things don't translate to the screen well. So, but you know, the heart of the story is there, and they put a more modern spin on it. But it was really big, and it was one of those movies everybody knew Spider-Man. Like you said, everybody had T-shirts and stuff, and it was like, hey, we've got something here, and you know, they were trying to expand the markets, you know. And, well, what other properties have we got? Which led to another big property, which you kind of mentioned a little bit when you were talking about villains. And at number 7, I've got the first X-Men movies.
Okay, yeah.
And that was one of those ones for Fox that kind of took off. Not my favorite superhero movie, but as far as, you know, my list, I'm kind of looking at more of the importance. You know, as not really my favorite, but important to the overall getting superhero movies made and establishing this, you know, section of film, you know, where there's going to be some good movies.
What could be.
Right.
Yeah, there was some hit or misses with the X-Men movie because they couldn't make up their mind what they wanted to do later on. But I think the first one really tried to make a movie at its core was relatable to everyone, and they tried to hit certain things for the fans, people that had no knowledge of, you know, what's an X-Men, you know, for kids. And one of my favorite lines in the whole movie is when they're getting on the Blackbird, and Logan's like, you people actually go out in this, and they've got the black, you know, leather outfits, you know, with the X symbol on it and stuff.
There is, yeah.
And Cyclops is, you know, getting everything ready for takeoff. And he goes, "What would you prefer, yellow spandex?" You know, and it was just one of those you couldn't help but laugh at that line. And then I will always like it because it took me, I think, about the third watching before I noticed that Stan Lee was actually in there.
Which is always a neat thing with those Marvel movies.
Yeah,
right?
you know, and this, you know, it was funny because he's selling hot dogs on the beach when the guy comes out of the water, and it's one of those, don't blink or you miss it. But the fact that he was in there was cool. So, but I think that helped establish kind of a broad appeal base for superhero movies.
Absolutely.
And then at number 6, you've got to put Endgame on there. I mean, a movie that makes like $25 gajillion
Right.
with a big gajillion. I mean, and it, you have a movie that essentially wraps up 10 years worth of other movies. I mean,
Yeah, and just the way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of tied everything in there is that's just good stuff. It's like they actually did some pretty good planning when it come to developing that
well,
story.
there was a couple times that things kind of, they're like, oh crap, what do we do? What do we do? And they had to fix things. And Endgame, that was just one of those movies that tied up so many things, and you felt like you had a finale. I mean, because there's a lot of times you're watching a movie and some things don't really get resolved, and I mean, this was 10 years worth of movies that had an ending.
Right. Yeah. And it's perfect too.
Yeah. And then number 5 on my list, The Avengers, the first one that
The first
Joss
one,
Whedon
yeah.
did, because it showed you what an ensemble superhero movie could be. How you could take Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye,
And give them all enough really
enough time,
substance.
You had built stuff up in other movies, and then we've brought them all together. We've teased it stuff, and here it is.
Wish they could show DC how to do that, right?
Well,
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know why DC did it.
I have no idea. But they, DC, if they could just figure out how to do what Marvel
If they
did with
could-
that, that'd be perfect, right?
Yeah, if they could convert their series from the seasons of their WB shows
Yes. Yes.
to the movies, it would be great. But I
Well,
guess
and I
it's
don't
where
know.
they've got the time to put in to where, yeah, they have the filler episodes and stuff, but the main villains are pretty cool in the shows normally.
Yeah. Loved
And
the
I don't
first few
understand why
seasons
they
of
didn't
Arrow,
just-
yeah.
I don't know why they just didn't look at what Marvel did and said, okay, it works for them, let's do it. They went like all wonky and let's
Yeah.
put everything in and screw it all up and then wonder why they don't like the next movie.
Yeah, exactly right.
I was just like, oh, the next one on my list is the one that kicked off the MCU, and that's the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah, man. But I was a huge Iron Man fan, dude, so I love that.
Well, I mean, it's funny because Iron Man, at best, was a B character. A lot of people didn't really know him outside of the Avengers,
right.
and they took the character and they hit all the points that made Tony,
Yeah.
and Robert Downey Jr. really brought him to life.
He's Tony Stark.
Yeah,
He is Tony Stark.
There was
And-
no other option for that role, I think.
Not unless the movie had been made in the early '90s and you got Tom Selleck to be.
Yeah, maybe
Tony
so.
Stark.
Maybe
I mean,
so,
that-
but
that
I don't know
would've
if
been- I
Selleck
thought
is
that would've-
nearly as a smartass as Robert Downey Jr. can pull off. And
I don't know, but he had the stash.
Well, he did have a stash. Yeah, he did have a
He
stash.
gets points for.
I mean,
He's
I
still
loved
got the
Iron.
stash.
Well, that's true, and I love Iron Man, so I really like that movie. I mean, I got a long box in the closet over here full of Iron Man from the
yeah,
90s.
but I mean, they did
so.
such a good job. The only thing that I really regret about the later Iron Man movies and Avenger movies is the fact that RDJ basically told him, "Okay, I'll be in the movies, but you're going to have to CG the suits." He said, "I'm not wearing." 'Cause the suit was like 90 pounds when he had the full-on costume. But to me, it looked so much better in the films.
Yeah,
Hey, he made a bajillion dollars. Off
yeah.
this.
I
guess
mean,
he
it
knows more
worked.
than I
It
do.
worked. It worked, right? So whatever.
But okay, we're at the top 3 now. So in the third spot, and this is a movie that I think probably saved comic book movies because there had been some really bad comic book movies made, some that had never been released because to keep the rights and stuff. But I think that this movie really showed that you could take a character, make it relatable to people that don't know anything about comics, and make it fun for the fans. And that's the first Blade movie.
You got this thing for Blade. I like it.
Well, I mean, it was a movie. I mean, Blade at best is a D-level character. He doesn't work unless you've got him in a Spider-Man book or teamed up with Ghost Rider or something like that. His standalone stuff in the comics just didn't work for whatever reason. And okay, they're making a Blade movie. Okay,
But that's a
how's
good
this gonna work?
introduction for people that aren't in the know about the character.
Exactly, but I think that they made this movie on a small budget, and it did phenomenal numbers. I mean, they made 3 movies, but it showed that you could, if you have somebody that can write well, somebody
Right.
that can direct, somebody that can act, they had all the pieces, and I think that kind of led, studios to be like, well, maybe there's something with comic books if we actually invest in it, which was what the fans were screaming. It's like, we want this, make it good. Because, I've got all the Dolph Lundgren Punisher and the 1990 Captain America and David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. I've got all those movies.
Right.
But this was something, I was like, because I mean, honestly, I'm a Marvel guy and I could have cared less about Blade. And then saw the movie, I was like, holy crap, this is good.
This is really cool, yeah.
So, but, going into the number 2 spot,
Number 2.
Batman 1989.
Yes.
That movie, I mean, that was a kick in the pants. That movie.
Well, I loved him as Batman.
I think
I mean,
Michael Keaton, that kind of reinvigorated the character.
Yes.
I believe. The fact that it wasn't Adam West, the campy stuff. This is a very dark and
which is the way it should be.
which is the way Gotham should be. The way Tim Burton shot Gotham. I mean, there's the Tim Burton over the top stuff, but the gritty, down and dirty, Batman can fight. Batman, because he uses his mind. He's doing some detective work. It's got a little bit of everything. But it's got probably the coolest Batmobile.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm
Batmobile.
gonna,
Yeah, it's a good Batmobile.
But I mean, that was one of those ones. It hit. It was commercial success. There was, I don't know, like 10 other Batman movies that tried to do what it did, and I don't think that they've come close.
No.
And
Especially that Batman and Robin.
well, I mean,
That was crap.
there was some questionable decisions made.
Decisions were
Thank you,
made.
Joel
They were
Schumacher.
wrong.
I'd say the first 2, I'd say with the Jack Nicholson as the
Yes.
Joker, he was great, and then
Oh.
Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Yeah.
Both of
That
those
still
two
creeps me out. I mean, just
That was good,
I
though,
tried
right?
watching it though, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's so just.
He's creepy as all get out.
Yeah, it was great, which I'm gonna roll in, and this is hard as a Marvel guy, but I've got to give the top spot to a DC movie,
Oh.
and it is the original Superman movie.
Okay, yeah.
Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. I mean, I like Henry Cavill as Superman, but when you think Superman, it's
Christopher Reeve,
Christopher Reeve.
Oh, yeah.
And
The Big Blue
it-
Boy Scout. Yeah, that's him.
yeah, and it for its time, it was so far ahead. I mean, you actually thought Superman was flying. That movie, if you compare it to, special effects, if you compare it to the stuff now, you're like, oh man, this is crap. But Christopher Reeve, I believe, embodied the whole heart and soul of Superman, of what he stood for. Truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've ever had. I mean, as great as Robert Downey Jr. is as Tony Stark, I'm going to say Christopher Reeve is maybe just a hair
Well, I agree with you
more
on that
as
one.
Superman.
I mean, I agree I agree with that being the number 1 movie. I don't know why you don't have The Dark Knight on there anywhere.
Honorable mentions.
Okay. All right. All right. Fine. And I couldn't comment on Jason's because I don't read every single thing that has ever been released. So I don't. I'm just glad he put Salvatore stuff on there because I'm good with that one.
Hey,
But no,
Tolkien, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's that
You
too.
got
There's
like
that
2 out
too.
of 10. You're all right.
No, that's cool, man. 10th episode top 10 lists. I think that's great. I think it's great. I mean, although Wes didn't put Dark Knight on there, so he's wrong. But
Well, you don't want to go Doctor Doom. I don't want to go Dark Knight. All a
whatever.
wash.
There you go. But here's the deal. Today you're going to get on the hot seat, Wes, and me and Jason are going to hit you with the Nerdy Old Men rapid fire question session. You know, Wes, you talked about your top 10 superhero movies. Tell me the best superhero television show.
The best superhero. I liked the original Swamp Thing that used to come on USA Network.
Oh God, I hadn't thought of that in years.
I don't know why I loved that show. The suit was cool. I mean,
The suit, that big, huge rubber suit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it got wet, it was like 100 pounds or something. But
What is your favorite cartoon that we had when we were children that you watch now and it just kind of going, I love this show, but why is it so bad?
oh,
That's a good one.
I'm going to say G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
I sat down
agree
and
with
watched
that
some of those, and I'm like, "What? This is not even making sense." You know,
Have you tried to watch He-Man?
He-Man's. Well, it's just like, you know, He-Man, Thundercats,
Yeah.
Silverhawks, all of them. You know, you're kind of going, "What?" I don't know what it is they want me to do, but I want to buy that toy.
There you go.
Why do I need the attack track? I don't know. I just want it.
All right, here you go, Wes. I know the answer to this one already, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. G.I. Joe or Transformers?
Oh, I'm gonna go with G.I. Joe,
Kinda
but I
figured
mean,
that.
God bless, my hero was a truck. It's like yeah, I'm gonna go with G.I. Joe on that one just because I had more of those.
Gotcha. All right, Jason, you're up.
Okay, well, along the same theme, but this is just the Transformers question. Which was your favorite Transformer as a kid?
Ironhide.
Well, that was quick.
I never had Ironhide. His toy was crap, but I loved the fact that it was a redneck robot from outer space.
Of course. It all makes perfect sense now.
Well, I remember the time, and he'd go into some like war story, and I'm like, I can relate to Ironhide.
Let's see, his and Ratchet's toys were horrible.
Oh, they were horrible toys, but the some of the newer stuff like the masterpieces and blah blah blah. I don't collect all the the statues and stuff, but they've got some really cool ones now. I'm like, why didn't they make this 35 years ago? I just wanted Ironhide to have a head
Instead of a
a
visor
sticker
and
on
and a
the
sticker.
seat, the windshield.
All right, Wes. My standard closing question.
The
4-hour car ride. Radio doesn't work. You must be riding the entire time with a superhero or legendary supervillain. Who is it?
For 4 hours, I would really like to go. I want to say Doctor Doom, but I don't know if I can put up with the Latveria stuff for 4 hours.
That's the kind of thing. What do you want to put up with the whole time?
Well, I mean, I might say Magneto just for in his mind he's not the villain. He's been
It's true.
He's been oppressed and attacked, and he's just trying to by any means necessary.
That's
And
right.
Just to get that viewpoint would be interesting.
And that's why he was top 5 on my list. Magneto.
You had him in the wrong spot, but we'll go with it.
Shut up. Hey, man, everybody, thanks for listening to us. And Jason, thanks for jumping on here again, man. You're always a wealth of knowledge, and we love to have you. And, everybody, we appreciate the support and everyone sharing and liking all of our social medias, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the YouTube page. Please share that stuff around. We'd like to reach more people, and, we want to talk to you guys too, so let's interact with a little bit of stuff. This is the top 10 list on our 10th episode. Throw some top 10 stuff at us in the comments of all of these social medias, or if you think we're wrong on something, and in fact, we're not wrong because we're always right. But if you want to throw something in there, throw it in there and we'll debunk it and move right on. But please throw some of that stuff in there. And yes.
If you would like, we do have t-shirts available now. So if you want to
Yes,
get
sir.
some Nerdy Old Men podcast merch, we can hook you up with that. We've got it's a great little t-shirt. It's gray with black, and it's just a super cool soft shirt.
My kids are even wearing them. My daughter wore it yesterday.
But we've got
Poor
those
Abby.
from our friend Amy over at Misty Mountain Creations. She's a small business here in town, and we try to support small businesses whenever we can. So if you would like a shirt, I believe we're going with the $15 price point now.
I think that'd be good.
And if you would like to purchase one, you can either hit us on Instagram, Facebook, email if anybody still emails.
All those places, we'll get it from all of them. But
And we can get your information and get that out to you.
yes, sir. Jason, thanks for coming with us.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, even though Wes said my top 10 was wrong,
Which it was.
it's in fact right, and we do know that we are again number one in all of your hearts and minds.
Yeehaw.